Agamemnon? Agamemnon?
Do, 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 do.
That's cinema, baby.
Running a temporal pincer movement. A what? Pincer movement. But not in space. In time. Rumsniff vore åkmästningen av. Ja,
Hey, welcome to The Good, the Pod, the Ugly, where normally we cover a filmography of a creator, typically a director, or a concept or technique, like a squib or a hack.
Yeah.
Juxtapose those, not respectively. But today, we had to return to the post-scarf coverage of Sir Christopher Nolan.
Woo!
Because the Odyssey just came out, and it came out big in the IMAX.
Yeah.
I'm Thomas.
I'm Ken.
I'm Ryan.
And
we all saw this together.
Yeah.
Woo.
In IMAX.
This is in IMAX in the year 2026 of our Lord. I don't know if you saw the thing from Lake Oswego, but this is older than the Jews, or what did they say in their marquee?
Yes, that's what it said. I don't.
Okay.
It's a weird thing to say, but it's also true. I'm not sure. People just don't like when you put Jews up on a billboard, I guess.
Well, that theater in Lake Oswego, shocking, Lake Oswego, has a recent history of controversial marquees.
Something about Melania, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they were screening Melania, but because of what that guy put on the marquee, Amazon actually took the movie away from them. Because it was the marquee was dissing Melania and the movie, and so shortly after they started screening it, they lost the ability to do so.
Huh. Well, that's Lake Oswego, Oregon, which is southeast-ish, I think, of Portland, Oregon, which is south of Vancouver, Washington, which nobody knows.
If you try and get there, it might take 10 years.
It felt like, yesterday I spent most of my day traveling to Vancouver, Washington, watching this movie, and then traveling home.
Yes, and there was no Charlize Theron or lotus flowers for you to eat to make it better.
Thank goodness, because I need to talk about this film today. If I ate lotus, who knows?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so 2026, we haven't covered another film this year, so this is going to be our first 2026 film.
Yay, I guess. Yay.
Woo!
Yeah. I was going to go around the horn and say first time.
We saw it opening day.
Yeah, except Ryan, how many times have you seen this film?
I have seen this movie 2 times.
So you saw it at 11:20 in Vancouver, Washington, and it's a 3-hour movie with trailers. We're talking 3.5 hours.
Yep.
So you went and did it again elsewhere. So you spent essentially an entire workday watching this film twice.
Just hanging out with Sir Chris in ancient Greece. Yep, that's true.
Did you see it in IMAX a second time?
No, I saw it at one of the smaller screens at the Cinemark because I wanted something that was digestible sonically. I wanted something I could hear and understand without having earplugs in.
Without being pummeled. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was the audience for the second viewing full? Was it a full screening?
Yeah, I mean, mostly I was in the second row, and I was the only person in the second row, but every row behind me was totally full.
It was a shockingly full IMAX screening where we saw it.
Well, I don't think there was anybody in the first row, to be honest.
No, there wasn't.
Okay, so again, that's not a full theater.
Shockingly full. I did not say sold out.
Oh, got it. I see.
I see a lot of new movies with matinees.
You're an optimist.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
You round up.
For the ticket price, an incredibly large amount of people.
Yeah.
Especially because you have sales tax.
Right? Yeah, $27.
I have been in the first row of a 70 millimeter screening at the Hollywood Theater, and I would not wish that on my worst enemy. So I think it's probably sane that people who saw it, who wanted to see an IMAX, chose not to sit in the first row of our
You know what they should do? You know what they should do? Get rid of the first row. Go ahead and add the Seinfeld filter and wit to that statement, Ken, in post.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I guess one thing that might affect your viewing, though, is how familiar you are. What's your relationship with the source material? So,
Yeah.
let's go around a little bit. Like, just briefly, have you read the Iliad? Have you read the Odyssey? What's your familiarity with ancient Greece? I know I'm talking to two dads, so you're probably always thinking about the Roman Empire 24/7 or XXIV V what I don't, but I'm curious to hear your relationship with the source material. Yeah.
Well, we dads also think about World War II quite a bit, so
Yes, that's
spread
true.
around the time frame there.
This was a Vietnam, to use the nomenclature from our Bullet episode. This is like a Vietnam Odyssey.
Yes, I agree, and also maybe in the future pantheon of dad movies.
Oh,
Okay,
certainly.
but
along with Bullet.
Okay, so I'll just return my question. I've already started a side quest or tangent on my tangent. Ken, have you read the original books?
I have not.
Are you a big Homer fan?
I am not. I am familiar. Obviously, I think everybody is familiar with story beats and the story itself, but I've seen "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" numerous times, and then the Simpsons episode they did the Odyssey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the 1990s NBC limited series starring Armand Asante?
Greta Scacchi, Isabella Rossellini, and Bernadette Peters as Cersei. Oh, yeah. Andy and I last night we were playing Black Sabbath, and we had the 1997 version of the Odyssey on mute on the TV. It's quite amusing.
You were listening to Black Sabbath, or you were?
Yes.
Because I know she's a musician.
Yeah, we were just listening. We were just meddling it, and it's interesting the differences between the two adaptations.
Andrew does like the metal.
Yeah.
Hey, did you say metal with a double D or metal? That doesn't matter. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait till our Steel Magnolia episode.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, so you haven't seen the television series, you haven't read the books, and
the television series was on last night. We watched almost the entire both episodes,
on mute.
Yes, and subtitles.
But prior to watching the movie, you didn't necessarily.
I've also seen the Kirk Douglas version from the 1950s called Ulysses, which is Odysseus's Roman name.
Yeah, I've never read the Odyssey nor seen an adaptation, but I did read the Aeneid in high school, which is, the Roman adaptation of the Odyssey. So there's some differences there, but that was the extent of my familiarity with the source text.
Sir Chris plucked a very important plot point from Virgil's version. Elliot Page's character. Elliot Page.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For the shades.
Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas took some advanced classes, like honors classes in undergraduate, studying ancient Greece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I've read both the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Okay.
Which
do you prefer?
Probably the Iliad.
Huh.
Only because of repetition. And I mean, it depends on if you're talking about story or if you're what you're reading it for. I mean, the Odyssey is definitely more of an epic and a story. The Iliad's just this interesting artifact of paganism and the relationship between humans and the gods. The Odyssey, right? Because I think someone in marketing was like, drop the it's cleaner. But then Honda sued. It was like, no, you can't call it Odyssey. That's art. So they had to go back to the Odyssey, which maybe when we get to reactions, we'll determine whether or not this was just a teaser for Spider-Man Brand New Day or not. Do we want to talk about run through the plot before?
Sure.
Keep to the normal structure of the podcast. Despite this exclusive interrupting our 4x4 coverage before we get to our 1x1s.
If only we had somebody on the podcast who, a day after it opened, has somehow seen it twice to maybe give a succinct plot recap.
And to put a pin in this, because I want to come back to it, but I'll probably forget. So I'm just putting it out there so that the listener can be very upset when we don't return to this after the plot synopsis, Ryan. Only time I've done something as crazy as what you did was friend James and I were supposed to go watch the on opening day Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. And I had committed to somebody, or like maybe I felt like I maybe it was like a date scenario, but I went to a sneak of it, like a midnight showing. And so I watched it. And then the next day I had to watch it with my best friend and pretend like I hadn't seen it before.
That's like my Interstellar story and my children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How fun. How fun the deceptions we create.
And so watching it the second time, my eye drifted and I was able to see a lot of the practical effects being used and the forced perspective and a lot of the tricks that Jackson used to not have to use as much CGI.
I'm excited to hear Ryan's similar insights.
And I'm very excited to hear his plot summary. So let's do that first.
Sure.
Wait, can we bang some things on the floor and do it in rhyme before he starts? Travis Scott.
I will be your Travis Scott.
All right.
Ken, you got to whip out the vocoder, or else this isn't going to work at all.
Okay.
I think it's easiest to do the plot summary chronologically, not the way it's unveiled in the movie, but just going through the events as they happen in the story, as Nolan conveys. So Odysseus is king of Ithaca, the king of Greece. I can't say his fucking name. Agamemnon.
Yeah, it's a Muppet song.
Oh, wow. It's from the Muppet.
Do, 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 do.
Exactly.
Agamemnon.
So, yes, Agamemnon. Odysseus is king of Ithaca, and he is called to raise his banners to fight Troy by his king, Agamemnon, who wants to get back his brother's wife, who Troy has allegedly stolen. Although it's made clear in the story that, first of all, Helen might have gone willingly to Troy, and then also Agamemnon is using this as an excuse to invade Troy and seize control of their trade routes. In any case, the Greeks go and try and invade Troy. They can't get into the impregnable walls, so they spend 10 years on the beach outside of the city. Act of desperation, Odysseus comes up with the plan of the Trojan horse, to build a horse out of their boats that they used to get to Troy, and to hide soldiers inside the horse, and then have the horse given to Troy as a symbol of goodwill, an acknowledgement of shared gods, and a gift to kind of end the war. So the Troy army brings the horse into the city. All the Greeks pop out. Odysseus.
Not all the Greeks that were inside the horse pop out.
A stealth team 6 is hiding in the horse, and they come out, and Odysseus leads them back to the Troy gates that they open and let Agamemnon and his much larger army in. The Greeks then rape and pillage the town of Troy, and all of this is in violation of Zeus's law, which states that a gift freely given should be an act of goodwill and not used as treachery. So
yeah, but I mean, if you have the Punisher inside of a horse, what do you expect?
This is true. Odysseus should have known better, and that's perhaps one of the major themes of the story at large. So Agamemnon's army wins. They rape and pillage Troy. They leave, and Odysseus has a bad taste in his mouth about what he's done. So instead of following Agamemnon back home, he takes his navy on his small fleet on a different route to avoid Agamemnon and find his own way home. Then,
okay, just to put a pin in it, that's like maybe 5% of the movie at most, right?
Yes.
And it's mainly told through flashbacks. Like you start with Travis Scott telling the tale and you get a little bit of it, but most of this is interspersed throughout the movie in a Christopher Nolan style.
Timey-wimey, pincer movement, Nolan.
And that's why I think it's important to try and lay it out chronologically, is because like Oppenheimer and some of his other movies, there's so much cross-cutting back and forth in time. We see images repeat across the story, and as the story goes on, those images expand so that you get more plot context for what is actually happening whenever you see these things.
And some emotional resonance, to be sure.
Yes, definitely. And so as Odysseus's fleet tries to make it back to Ithaca, they need to land on an island to get supplies for their way home. Their first stop is an island that's occupied by the Cyclops. Unbeknownst to them. They chase a sheep into a cave, which turns out to be the Cyclops' home. And they get stuck there when the Cyclops comes home, and they're kind of at his mercy. The Cyclops seems mostly blind and pretty dumb, but he does know that humans are tasty. So whenever he chances upon one of Odysseus' soldiers, he picks that guy up and just takes a bite.
Wait. Just to clarify, because people don't know you exactly, Ryan. Are you a cannibal in real life?
I try not to be.
Okay, but you do know that humans are tasty.
Delectable, yeah.
Okay,
but I try and avoid the opportunity.
Got it. So even though the Cyclops is dumb, he has a shared knowledge with you.
Yes, we both have similar passions for certain kinds of food. Fried chicken.
And from a Greek perspective,
human flesh.
One of the things that's important there is that Odysseus takes some of the cheese immediately upon coming into somebody's home.
Yes. The soldiers are stuck there, and eventually, while the Cyclops is sleeping, they trick him into waking up in a start and put a spear in his eye. That causes the Cyclops to panic, and he is more or less blinded. And through a convoluted series of circumstances, they get the Cyclops to remove the barrier blocking the entry to the cave, and they escape in a couple of groups. At the end of their escape, Odysseus, for reasons that are kind of unclear, decides to take an extra poke at the Cyclops on his way out the door, and pisses the Cyclops off more.
The Cyclops kicks out a helmet or something from one of his men that he had eaten.
I thought he spit it out, didn't he?
Yeah,
like a watermelon seed.
So it was just an act of pure spite on Odysseus's part, just one more get back. Because he's mad about losing.
A little bit of revenge, I would imagine. Yeah,
not a good idea, though.
And yet, if you listen back to our Kroll episode this season, you know that a Cyclops has one eye.
Yep.
That's unlike the Cyclops in the Marvel universe, who has two eyes.
Yes.
Fair.
Very good.
Fair.
I'm here to disambiguate.
Yeah. So they get back on the boat, and that's when Odysseus finds out that some of his soldiers heard the Cyclops speaking and talking about Poseidon. They deduce that the Cyclops is Poseidon's bastard son. And so now that they are back on the ocean, Poseidon has cursed their boat. So they have a hard time catching wind, and the directions when the winds come, the directions the winds take them become,
adversarial.
Yes,
very
that's
good.
A good way of putting it. They next land on an island again to get supplies that just so happens to be inhabited by giant men, smaller than the Cyclops, but about twice the size of human. Those guys are all armored up and are very fierce and don't like to talk. So as soon as those big-ass soldiers see Odysseus and his men, they just start killing them. So
and trees move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, there is that magical section where they are able to imprison some of Odysseus's crew in a circle of trees that seems to move into place to become.
I'm glad you guys saw it as well, because I was eating a bunch of gummy starbursts, and I was pretty whacked out at that point.
After escaping from the island of the giants, they happen upon the island, an island inhabited by Circe. Again, they go looking for food. Circe lets in Odysseus's army to eat and gather more food to take back. However, the food that Circe gives them is cursed, and in an amazing scene, she turns them all into pigs, by molding their bodies as if they were made out of clay.
She removes
And
their
his-
disguises.
Oh, that's right. That's what
Yeah.
she
their
said.
true
Yeah.
form underneath. And it's crazy because they're eating in a way of, remember, we haven't covered it on this podcast, but Old Boy, where he's eating the squid, like it's just like that.
Ugh.
Or the eel, I guess it is an eel. Oh, and she's probably connected to Neptune or Poseidon, if we want to use the Greek term, as well, because she's the ex-wife of the well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Brendan Fraser.
what I wouldn't have killed for a cameo of Brendan Fraser just emerging from the ocean. Full whale regalia.
They see the dolphins off to the side, and then it's just
No.
Fraser.
Just a floating gelatinous blubber.
Uh-huh.
You know? So,
But because, the bowstring doesn't have anything to do with it there. He just does it because he's hunting, right?
Yeah.
yes.
This is recurring
Looking for
motif.
food.
Yes. So while his men are inside messing with Circe, Odysseus is outside hunting for their dinner, just in case the soldiers can't bring anything back with them. It's
But also they ask, is this a mutiny? And his right hand is his number one. His number one's like, hey, it's not yet. Or like, do you want it to be? Or it's up to you, I guess is what he says. He says something pithy like that.
Yeah, at this point in the story, Odysseus's army is really pissed off that they took this other weird direction home, and they're further pissed off that Odysseus unnecessarily taunted the Cyclops and caused them this curse from Poseidon on their ship. So they actually tell Odysseus when they get to Circe's island, like, you just stay here at the boat where you can't cause any problems, and we're going to go up and get some food.
And they're down to like 25% of their original peeps, right?
Yeah. And to your point, Thomas, one of the cool nuances about the journey home is that Odysseus' second in command becomes more and more the leader of the ship the longer they go on this. And it's not really, there's never a confrontation really with Odysseus, but he kind of starts to recede into the background more and more, realizing that he's causing a lot of these problems, which is revealed at the end of the story. Odysseus' thoughts on all this.
Yes.
When Odysseus is waiting next to the boat while his army is in with Circe, he hunts a deer, he kills the deer. When he comes across the carcass, it has transformed into a naked human man.
A nude man.
A nude dude.
But right up there in the sun.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah. So Odysseus puts two and two together and is worried that magic is being used on this island to transform people into animals. He rushes up to where his army is with Circe and discovers they've all been turned into pigs. He is able to convince Circe to turn them all back into humans, and also asks her guidance on how to get back to Ithaca. And she tells him that he needs to go to Hades and talk to some of the spirits that live in Hades, on Hades, to get guidance on the way home. So he gets the army back together, they get on the boat and they go to Hades. There, they bring a sacrifice of 2 sheep, which they then kill, and they feed the spirits the blood of these sacrificed sheep. And that allows Odysseus to talk to Sinon, who is the soldier who was killed in sacrifice during the Troy invasion. And who else do they talk to there? Is it Agamemnon? Is that the other guy?
Yeah, and that's when they learn that, because Agamemnon, Odysseus is surprised that he's there because he thought, didn't you go home?
Yes.
But we know as the audience, because this is cross-cut with the Tim Holland, who is plays Odysseus' son, and has met with the Punisher, who plays Agamemnon's son, who's now the king, that this has all taken place. But this is news to Odysseus. And this would have happened to Odysseus before the Tom Holland scene, because we later find out that he's been drugged, which we'll get to very shortly, for like 7 years.
Or so.
Yes. Yeah.
To hang out with Charlize Theron. I mean, did he really need that mint lotus flower?
That's a good question. But hey, if she's offering it and it's just going to enhance the experience, why not?
Yeah.
Why not both? So, Sinon's spirit tells Odysseus that in order to get home, they're going to need to face 3 more perilous situations, all 3 of which could kill him and his crew if they're not careful.
The monsters from above and the monsters from below.
Oh, yes. First, they have to cross path with the sirens. So Odysseus, they have to pass the island of the sirens. Odysseus tells all of his men to put wax in their ears so they can't hear the sirens call. However, he asks to be tethered to the mast so that he can hear the sirens call, but not act on it. That's why they're tying him to the mast. That plan goes fine. Everything comes off as it's supposed to. And Odysseus, for the first time, begins to confront the trauma and the horror of what he's done by violating. They violated Zeus's law to win the battle against Troy, which broke the Ithacans and the Greeks' connection to the gods. And so after that point, in Odysseus's mind, they've all been cursed and cast out by the gods, which leads to all this trouble that they're having on the sea. It's also why he parted ways with Agamemnon, was hoping to get back in the gods' good graces, which doesn't work.
And this idea of Zeus's law has been introduced into the story from the beginning, like shortly after in the first scene, where we're getting the recap of the legend of the Trojan horse. There's somebody who comes into the suitor's party and is accepted in as part of hospitality, because Zeus's law is this idea of basically this old idea, ancient world idea of hospitality, that you don't know if somebody's coming to you, if they might be a god in disguise.
Yes, Penelope sums it up a couple times very neatly throughout the course of the story, is treat strangers as you would want to be treated. Giving a Trojan horse gift that turns out to be, a weapon to Troy was a violation of this law, as is abusing the hospitality of your host or neglecting the needs of your guests. These are all very important to Zeus. So they get past the sirens, and they next come upon a whirlpool and a multi-headed snake monster that lives in the cliffs next to the whirlpool.
Scytha, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Scylla, I think.
Sure, Scylla.
This is the only part. This is the only part of the story that I had no knowledge of from reading the Aeneid. Maybe I'd forgotten it, but this whole section was new to me. So, in order to get through and get home, the Ithacans have to weave a path getting close to this whirlpool but not getting sucked in, and the spirits of Hades tell Odysseus that if they turn away from the whirlpool, this snake monster that lives in the cliffs above the whirlpool will eat some of the men, which is better than if they all fall into the whirlpool and then all of them die. So without telling his army, he leads them on this perilous path between the two things. Several of his soldiers get eaten by the snake monster, and that further makes them distrust Odysseus. Finally, they come upon the island of the sun god, which is where the sun god keeps his herd of cattle that he likes to eat. And Odysseus's men, want to go and stop at the sun god island to try and get more supplies. Odysseus says, no, if we go there, you guys are going to eat the cattle. And once you eat the cattle, you're all going to get killed by the sun god. So we shouldn't do that. They pinky promise Odysseus that they absolutely won't do that. So they pull up onto the island to get supplies, but then the wind is not in their favor, so they can't leave the island. And there's not enough supplies to sustain them. So eventually Odysseus' men do eat the cattle and are wiped out by the sun god, although we don't really see that part. And what we do see is Odysseus washes up on the island of Calypso. Calypso ensnares Odysseus to become her lover and also feeds him the lotus flower so he can forget these tortured memories that seem to be haunting him. And then at this point we cut to what's going on in Ithaca. Odysseus' wife Penelope is ruling over the land, but with a vacant throne with no king on the island. Her standing as queen is not really acknowledged, and she has two choices. She can try and wait for her son Telemachus to come.
Spider-Man.
Yes. Tom Hardy. No, fuck.
What?
What?
I think it's Venom.
Yes.
Tom Holland.
All these British guys.
You know him. He's in your favorite movie of all time, The Lost World of Z.
Yes. Masterpiece, epic James Gray masterpiece, The Lost City of Z, starring Tom Holland.
When you say, just to go back slightly, when you say we cut to, like, this is linearly, like, we've been here at this is how the movie opens. This is this is a recurring timepiece. What's also happened is we get the lotus flower very early on because Odysseus, a lot of this movie is about Odysseus having to reconcile with what he's done. And the lotus flower is his means of avoiding this for 7+ years.
Yeah.
It's very, very much in line with, parallels a lot with Oppenheimer.
Yes, very much so.
It really seems like a companion piece in a lot of weird ways to that movie.
Yeah, I agree. So Penelope can either wait for her son Telemachus to become of age and take the throne, or she can marry one of the suitors from a nearby land. The suitors
including
are all
Batman.
Yes, Robert Pattinson, Batman.
I'm sorry, the Batman.
Sorry,
The Batman.
The Batman.
Batmanicus
is jealous of Spider-Man, and he wants to rule over Ithaca. So he. And I think the number I saw is 108. So he and 107 other guys are just hanging out on Ithaca for 7 or 8 years.
And because of Zeus's law,
yeah,
you got to give them wine and food.
Yeah. So Penelope can't throw them out without violating Zeus's law. She also can't starve them. So she has to feed them every day for 8 years. And they're a bunch of assholes. And they are constantly trying to goad Telemachus into a fight, because if they can kill Telemachus, then Penelope definitely has to marry one of them, and they can more easily access the throne.
And this is also where we get John Leguizamo.
Yes.
From Super Mario Brothers.
Oh my God. Luigi's in this.
Yes, and Leguizamo here is in the Michael Caine sort of role as the old, wise, weak person that the hero of Nolan's films always admires and follows and respects.
And not to get to reactions, but hell yeah. Like, I typically don't like Leguizamo all that much. I don't really. What was the movie? What was it called? The Dinner?
The Menu?
The Meal? The Menu. Thank you. Yeah. And he's a real hit or miss for me, but if Nolan can get this performance out of him, fuck yeah, put him in.
He was so fucking good here. You're right. I was completely surprised as well.
In.
Yeah, he's great. Big surprise.
Telemachus and Penelope are running out of food and money, so Telemachus is getting desperate to either become king or for his dad to get home. So he goes and visits Agamemnon's brother, played by the Punisher, to try and find out what happened to his dad. And there he finds out that nobody has seen his dad since leaving Troy, but also that the whole idea that this war was for the beauty of Helen is undermined because the Punisher has, once he got Helen back, he scarred half of her face. So now she's no longer the most beautiful woman. It's essentially punishment for her being beautiful. So she's no longer the most beautiful woman. So that was not what he desired. Instead, it was the control of the situation. And Agamemnon wanted these trade routes, and those were the things really underlying the whole Troy invasion. So
Hey,
Telemachus,
quick question.
yes.
On Agamemnon, do you think Benny Safdie was like, I will play this for you, but you can't show my face?
I think his face is too nice. I think he has the build and can obviously do a voice that makes him really intimidating. But I think why we don't ever see Agamemnon's face is just because, like, Benny Safdie looks like a sweetie. You know, he just has a sweetie pie's face.
Maybe, but I also do think like it's a little bit like that. Are we the baddies?
Yes.
Yes.
Because he is definitely shown to be a sinister type figure.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really get that from anybody in Troy.
Yes, I think that's true. I also think Agamemnon is not a god and is not as unknowable as the gods, but I think Nolan is suggesting that those highest up in power are not, we don't understand them as full, well-rounded humans. They are something between God and man, where their authority is absolute and can't be challenged, but we don't know their motives. We don't know if they're good or bad. We just have to do what they say. So Telemachus goes home to Ithaca with what little news he had, and simultaneous to all of this, Odysseus is on the island with Calypso, and she's pushing him to slowly eat less lotus flower and try and remember more and more about why he's there. And slowly he starts telling her the story of everything that's happened up to this point. And we see for the first time how ashamed he is of his actions and upset at everything that's basically happened since he had the idea for the Trojan horse, and that he blames himself for a lot of what's come to pass in the story in ways that we may not have thought from when we first see these events unfold. Eventually, Calypso stops feeding him the lotus flower altogether. Odysseus remembers in full what's happened, and for the first time in 20 years is ready to go home. So he puts together a raft out of the parts of his destroyed ship and sails back home. Crucially, Calypso tells him that the only way he can get home is by refusing to steer the raft. He just has to lay on it and hope that Poseidon will wash him ashore on Ithaca. That is what happens.
Or it's Jacob's ladder.
Odysseus washes up at Pylos, which is where they worship Athena. And that's also where Telemachus happens to be. So he reconnects with Telemachus, who doesn't know that Odysseus is Odysseus. Odysseus tells him that he knew Odysseus and served under him, and that Odysseus was alive and coming back. So together, Telemachus and Odysseus go back to Ithaca. Odysseus sees these 108 suitors and how they have totally plundered Ithaca and are just being total assholes to his wife and to his servants and his son. And he
Who put his dog in the dung heap?
Yes, they put his favorite hunting dog in the dung heap, which is not very nice. That's a sweet, cute old puppy.
It's a dog that Odysseus got as a puppy and who was going to live as long as it took to be reunited with his master. So this is a 20-year-old dog.
And it's not like a decrepit dog. It's not like the dog only has 3 legs and one withered one, is blind and barks at everybody who comes over to Ken's house.
Pretty close.
The best part is when that dog tries to attack Jack. That's the best part. So Odysseus, once arriving home and seeing the state of the island, realizes that when he violated the laws of Zeus by conceiving of the Trojan horse scheme, he actually broke all of humanity's relationship to the gods. So The suitors are in his palace being assholes only because they don't have this connection to Zeus and the laws anymore. Instead, it's just chaos and everybody's doing it for themselves. Nobody is being nice or considerate to others anymore. So he comes up with this convoluted scheme that one of you all can explain if you like, to get Penelope to finally accede to taking one of these suitors as her spouse, and that will trap them all in the food hall, where Penelope sets the suitors a challenge. If they can accomplish it, then they can marry her. But not everybody, Penelope and Telemachus and Odysseus know that the only person who can really do this is Odysseus. So they set up the challenge. All of the suitors fail. Odysseus succeeds. They then lock everybody in this food hall and take away all the weapons, so Odysseus can just go full
Red
Batman,
Wedding.
John Wick, and kill as many.
No, I'm sorry. Correction.
Jason Bourne.
Go full Kevin. From We Need to Talk About Kevin.
He does have the arrows.
He shoots everybody with arrows. He locks them in and he shoots them.
And not ARROWS, EROS. It turns into a big orgy.
Wow. I don't know where to go over.
Did I see the wrong movie?
So Odysseus, with a little bit of help from Telemachus, kills most of the suitors. The ones he doesn't kill bend the knee and respect his authority again. Once the suitors are cleared from the castle, Odysseus gives the throne to Telemachus and takes his wife Penelope to sail into the unknown western sea, where they will find some way to honor the dead that Odysseus lost throughout his journeys, and try and make amends with Zeus to reestablish order in the world.
And they are in exile.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because Odysseus has killed all of these guests, they can no longer stay in Ithaca. So they have gone into exile, and Odysseus and Penelope talk on their final voyage about how a darkness has fallen over the world. There's no sense of nobility or morality left, and we're entering a dark ages. But that one day, in part because of Odysseus making this trip into the West, goodness and morality can return to the world again sometime in the future.
And
and no post credits.
Yeah, but you didn't even talk about the best part. With Penelope and Odysseus sailing away, the end credits roll, and then a song starts, and it goes a little bit like this.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship.
It put everybody in a good mood at the end of the screening we saw.
Oh, man, I'm sorry I had to rush off to early dinner reservations.
At the Golden Corral?
Yeah. Something interesting, as Nolan is a writer, and he's an auteur, which is weird to have right after a bunch of hacks, but having written and directed this film, to that end, one of the I guess two things that stand out to me that are fairly interesting, and this isn't a reaction, this is just factual. That shot of them leaving at the end and being in exile would normally be like a downer thing, potentially, right? Like he has to give up. He just won back his kingdom. Now he has to leave his kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And Penelope has stayed faithful and powerful to be able to do so, for him to be able to do this. But she also has to leave her gains. And who knows whether or not Spider-Man's going to be able to rule the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still kind of young, and he wasn't able to take out the suitors and do these other things. But earlier in the movie, Penelope says, whenever there's a moment where they are gearing up to go to the Trojan War, and Odysseus decides to use lots to choose people, right? Use a lottery system to choose people. And Penelope says, like, hey, let's just go. Like we don't have to go, like, try and bring Helen back. And that's when Odysseus also explains that this isn't really about Helen. It's probably more about the trade route and being able to capture this trade route. And Penelope's like, no, let's just go. Let's just leave. Let's flee. And she paints this like picture for him of them leaving. And as she's doing so, verbally, we get cuts like we would in a Nolan film of them sailing off to the west and just running away, which is what he uses at the end of the film. That's those same images from her, like there, as you imagine it, as is actually how they're leaving. So the ending becomes peaceful.
Yeah.
Because he's already seeded that for you in it.
Yeah.
It's also, and I think one of the things that we can talk about is all of the different references to other Nolan movies that are in this movie, but it's also essentially the same ending as Interstellar, when Matthew McConaughey, after having saved humanity, flies back off to the edge of the galaxy to reunite with Anne Hathaway on their own planet to be alone and lovers and live out their days.
Yeah, but we don't get that storytelling flash for. I mean, I think in my mind, everything in Interstellar is based off of timey-wiminess, right?
Yeah.
And so that's closer in storytelling maybe to Tenet for that portion of it than just having it narratively there and having part of an imagined outcome be the actual ending of your film and be able to seed it in that way. Because it's not actually in the Odyssey, right? Like, I want to talk about adaptations here in a moment, but I mean, it's not actually there. So that's him finding a creative way to visually marry, like to plant the seed and then marry it later. And then I want to talk about the bow, but it seems like Ken wants to say something.
Yeah. I think Ryan's linear synopsis actually does a disservice to what Nolan does with that narrative and how he uses all of his now familiar and somewhat comforting Nolan storytelling ideas of warping time, having parallel timelines, all leading to some kind of emotional climax that brings it all together. Because there's no part of this where it's just he starts his journey, goes to the end. Like the Armand Assante version is very linear, like that synopsis. But the way in Nolan's world, he is doing references to scenes that have happened, treating them like memory, the way he edits these things in, but also the jumbled way the narrative starts, that if it weren't as confident a writer and director, you would feel that you were losing people. But in this instance, it just feels like he's doing a Nolan way into this world that is far from what we would see from any other writer-director. And
something that is part of screenwriting, and it feels like it became more popular in the 90s, but maybe it just becomes a little bit more apparent, but is to seed something through the narrative, which for me, the bow is an amazing instance of this, because early on, the Batman, who is the lead suitor for, and basically Antinius has Robert Pattinson's Antinius is the villain, is like a type of villain in the film. Like, I think he's like the main villain at some level. If you look at this from like a simplified, like a very cheap seats understanding of the film.
Well, that he did the same thing with Robert Downey Jr. in a lot of ways in Oppenheimer, giving the cheap seats someone to root against.
Yeah, because he's definitely, it plays it as a villain. It's amazing that this is the same actor who's like the buddy hero in Tenet, right?
Yeah.
So Pattinson's character, Antinius, is like the worst of the worst in many ways, even though like Odysseus, like at a structural level, is the worst, and in some ways is Oppenheimer. This is but he's also our point of view and protagonist in the film. Like, this is definitely his, like, this is the person who's a liar and a schemer, and is the worst person on earth for that, or at least worst person in the world of the movie for that. And so part of that lottery is that he actually was supposed to go to the Trojan War and he didn't. He got somebody else to go in his place.
Elliot Page.
Yeah. Elliot Page's character.
Who then dies, is the first to die as part of the Trojan horse scheme.
Yeah.
And gives Odysseus the thing that says that was supposed to belong to Patterson's character, because Patterson's character is rich, the son of a rich person. But Patterson's character's been telling this tale to everybody that, he would have gone to the Trojan War, but he was told by Odysseus not to stay here and protect everybody. And he always distorts the truth just enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also that he wanted to, like, on a hunt, I can't remember like what his role was going to be. Maybe the person who chose his arrow or whatever. But you get to see Odysseus string his bow a few times, and that on a hunt he plucks his bow before he uses it to kill. And as Michael Caine's stand-in, you have
John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo saying, like, why do you do that? Like, you're giving him a chance to, like, run away. And he's like, well, it's hunting. It's not battle. And so there's this idea throughout of gamesmanship and appropriateness for different modes of what's appropriate, when you can be clever and when you can't be clever, but also just the sound of that bow is part of what goes on. And so, yeah, he does the same thing whenever he's on the island of Circe. And then at the end, there's only one person in the kingdom who can string his bow, and that's the challenge at the end. Right. If any of the suitors can do this, then that would be a worthy replacement for her husband, is what Penelope says. And everybody tries, except, Pattinson's character says, I'm not even going to try. Like, why bother? Like, we all have failed. This isn't going to happen. He's not coming back. And then in disguise, Odysseus says, like, well, let me try it. He's disguised as a beggar. He's been doing intel, doing covert ops. And then, he's able to string it. But it's not just that he strings it. There's this cinematic moment where you hear the bow pluck.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sent chills down my spine. I was like, wow, that is like all this character development, all this business about the bow is there, but it's also there for just this moment to be able to hear it.
And Penelope hears it.
And Penelope hears it, and then she continues to walk on. Like, she pauses a moment and then walks and locks out her maid, who's been devious and
shacking up with Pattinson.
Yeah. Which, it's kind of hard to blame her. That dude's a snack.
Yeah.
Isn't he also in your favorite film?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's not quite my favorite film, but it is a real good one. And Pattinson is in it.
That plucking scene is part of really the emotional payoff for this, because before that is when Spider-Man still thinks Jason Bourne is not his dad. He's just a beggar who knew his dad. And then the dog scene, which is the one scene where I was crying. The dog who's on the dung heap and had pledged to stay alive. I don't know how they knew the dog pledged to stay alive, but until Odysseus came home, and then he gently puts his hand on the dog, and then the dog dies. And then Tom Holland's like, oh my gosh, I thought my parents died in a car wreck. I'm Peter Parker. It's incredibly emotional. And like you said, Thomas, obviously stories all have things that are seeded to pay off. But Nolan always does it in such a way where it's kind of chopped up that until you get to the payoff, you don't realize that that's what you were being set up for. And enormous emotional moment for me and any dog lover, I think.
Yeah. And that is why I thought it would be best to try and lay out the story in a linear manner, Ken, is because in other Nolan movies, he uses his timey-wimey cross-cutting stuff to reveal a piece of information that kind of changes your perspective on the story, but it doesn't necessarily enrich the emotions of the narrative. It can be a cool trick, and sometimes it has thematic relevance, but this is the only movie that I can think of where as you slowly start to understand Odysseus's point of view throughout this whole journey, and it really comes together in the final act, that is when the true meaning of this story reveals itself in full. Before then, you don't really have a clear picture of how Odysseus feels about everything that's transpired. And once you do, it changes everything you've seen and brings a gravity to all of the events of the movie that weren't necessarily there when you saw them depicted the first time.
Yeah, and it's, the tagline for the movie could be one hot therapist, unconventional treatment. Because Charlize Theron essentially plays his therapist, his Dr. Melfi. And him being on that island, she eventually gets him to the point where he can come to terms with all this PTSD. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Because of the war.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's only when he's able to unpack the PTSD that we realize that he is not a hero, and that he is perhaps responsible for, in his mind anyways, like literally all of the evils befalling the world at this time.
Yes.
And that is so powerful to me.
Well, I mean, the world at this time being the Greek world.
The
right?
Bronze Age.
Yes.
That was a big one for me. Okay, so Ryan, I guess because you've seen this twice, you probably be the best person. Do you want to give us the plot synopsis as it's depicted by Nolan?
No.
No.
God, it's going to be a 5-hour episode.
I almost died doing the linear synopsis.
It was
I
an
think-
epic journey, Ryan. I think that
Thank you.
you
Thank you
deserve to go home. Be reunited.
I'm ready for my ice float.
Yeah.
To that what you were saying though, Ryan, about this kind of, it's not a rug pull. It's not a like David Fincher 90s film where it's like, oh, it's a twist, but the people of the sea being him. Like there's this idea throughout that there's people of the sea that other people are afraid of. And I think they land on an island and they're like, why did you run away? Or why are you afraid of us? Like, oh, we heard tales of the people of the sea, that they're coming, that they're these dangerous people. And what it really is it's the Greeks returning back from Troy.
Mm-hmm.
They are the enemy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that from the ground level, from the level of, I'm just call it like maybe workers versus the elite, that they're like, yeah, these people are the monsters. Like the Greeks are. A lot of like you in Greek understanding of things, like Hercules was sent out to do those labors because he's a terrifying motherfucker. If you have somebody with that much power who's like half god, you don't necessarily want them hanging around.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you have these legends from the Trojan War. They're all like half gods seeming, right? And so like one side wins. It's like great that they're still around. Like these terrifying people who feed off of our labors are still around.
Yeah, and it, to your point, Thomas, it even goes back to the way we think of the Trojan horse as a concept in our society, where it's considered to be a cool, smart way of getting a deception across that ultimately serves the common good. And in a way, Nolan is Trojan horsing the idea that the Trojan horse was a good thing. He smuggles in there that actually, no, like this was a really dishonorable deceit.
Well, I think it's just a correction back to the source material because no, like the Trojan horse is like one that is an ultimate sin. But yeah, I think that Nolan's doing that. And that reminds me of a preview that I saw for this film, which gets me into what I kind of want to talk about. It might be get us into reactions when it comes to adaptation. So one of the previews, and Ken said we can't talk about all the previews prior to the film.
Because there was 15 of them.
I know. But one of the previews was for a movie that is the making of the movie Rocky.
Yes.
And to my mind, aside from the movie The Disaster Artist, if that is your goal as a movie, you've already set yourself up to show a better movie in your movie. Right? You've already said, like, this isn't going to be a very good movie. It can't be as good as the movie that we're about to cover. Because there won't be, like I turned to Andy and said, wait, I can't wait to see the movie that's the making of the movie that's about the making of Rocky when they do that in 10 years. Because that's never going to fucking happen, right? If you're like, oh, this is a GOAT, right? Like this is one of the greatest of all time movies. So I'm going to make a movie about it. No one's going to make a movie about your movie because you've already set yourself up there, right? And that's a problem at some level of an adaptation, depending on what you're doing. And I think I'm also influenced because the night before watching this, I watched The Phantom of Paradise.
Brian De Palma, cocaine.
And the co-writers, maybe more on the cocaine side. But what he did to write that film, because he was the writer on it as well, was he mashed up, and I don't know this because I did research. I'm watching the film and I'm like, oh, what? So this is the Phantom of the Opera, Faust, and the Picture of Dorian Gray all put together into a single film. Like you just smash all that shit together. And as I was watching it, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. That's interesting. And Lee, my spouse, who's watching it with me, said, yeah, but it's not all that innovative. Like to mix and match those things isn't as interesting as to create something new. And so with that as like the template, I'm watching the Odyssey, and what the Odyssey has to be is a understanding of what, like the Shakespeare, putting Shakespeare on play into a movie or on stage now, you have to decide what you want to emphasize and how you want to tell the story. And that's the interesting thing. It's not the plot, because you already know the plot. Yeah. It's what am I going, like, where am I going to move my levels and that on my mix? So I have something that I think speaks in a certain way to the time that we're living in.
And Nolan's track record, astonishingly, is getting people to go see this 3-hour Christopher Nolan version of a story you already kind of know, which I think it boggles my mind that he did it with Oppenheimer. This one's a little less so because it is at its core kind of a boy's adventure movie. Like if I was 14, this would definitely be the best movie I'd ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. Shit. It's a great adventure movie. It's the original, right? And anyway, that's getting close to reactions.
No, I think we're there. I think we're okay to start reacting.
Okay.
But I guess let's go medium first, because people are probably listening to this episode not for the plot recap, but for a sense of, they're probably folding laundry. But if they're listening to this for another reason, it might be like, should I go see this? And if I'm going to go see this in theaters, risking COVID, risking somebody on their cell phone talking, risking somebody eating popcorn, which I'm deathly allergic to. Thank you for respecting that, the entire movie theater. Should I see this in IMAX or should I see this on a regular screen? And I think we have an expert right here on mic with us.
Ryan, what's the preferred way to see this movie? And were you upset that the IMAX 70 millimeter has a different aspect ratio?
Or let me add to that, because I think one thing that's really lacking in our society is a matter of cost or degree, right? Like it's really easy to say, oh, if it's something safer, we should do the safer thing, and not have an understanding of like the cost. So is the IMAX viewing worth twice the price of a regular viewing? Assuming that we should go see this in theaters at all.
Sure. I would recommend seeing it in theaters. What I discovered while watching the Odyssey is I was thinking back to other movies I've seen, and I haven't enjoyed seeing a Nolan movie in IMAX since The Dark Knight. I don't know what happened to my man making that movie, and I don't know, I'm starting to think maybe he has hearing damage, but the sound mixes of his movies in particular have become increasingly assaultive and oppressive, to the point where even with earplugs in my ears for this movie, it was still just way too loud for me. I wasn't able to enjoy it in that premium format, which Nolan and everybody under God's green earth is telling you is the only way to see it. I really enjoyed it seeing in a smaller theater with clearer, quieter sound. And I realized that that's the way I'll be taking in Nolan movies forevermore. I don't think the image of the premium format and the giant IMAX screen and the aspect ratio, that's all cool. You do see more of the picture. but it's actually inhibited my enjoyment of Nolan's movies in the theaters for more than a decade now, I realized while watching this. So I really liked a lot of what I saw when we all saw it together in IMAX, but there was a lot of dialogue I couldn't hear. There was a lot of times where I was more physically uncomfortable because of the sound than I was enjoying it. So that's why I went to see it again, is I felt like this was something that I maybe would think is really cool, and I wanted to give it a chance to breathe and just kind of be a normal movie. And
so your preferred method would probably be to watch it in a regular theater and then go put some Black Sabbath on or other metal and watch it in IMAX.
yeah,
That's not bad. That would be kind of fun.
As somebody who really does love the immersive experience of cinema, I think that's Nolan's main drive in doing IMAX and doing these big sound, very loud movies. But for me, it's just too assaultive.
Interesting.
Go see it in flat, enjoy it in flat. It still looked amazing.
Okay.
I didn't feel like anything was lost.
All right. And since Ryan has the worst opinion of all of us, Ken, what? No, I didn't mean that to be cruel. I just meant to be factual. Ken, did you enjoy your IMAX experience, or
I was completely immersed. Having done the Nolans for the podcast, I think gave me a better understanding of how he treats sound. So if I was missing some dialogue, it didn't bother me. I think the scenes in Troy, particularly at the end, where it's so all encompassing that like my seat was shaking, and I found it to be completely immersive for 3 hours. I was actually there, not the 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. Because I'm old, it takes a while. Come on. No, I 100%. I saw the trailer with the Trojan horse scene before Avatar last year with Ryan and his mother-in-law, and yeah, I said I'm going to see this in IMAX. I'm going to bust the bank and spend $27 for a ticket to see it in IMAX, and I'm happy I did.
I should have known from seeing the trailer, Ken, that I would not enjoy the IMAX presentation.
Because we haven't even talked about Ludwig Göransson, who does the music, and how teaming up with him, they're not a couple. The last number of movies has made them feel really distinctive from the earlier era of Nolan's that we've talked about in the past. And it's completely distinct, does not sound like an average blockbuster. Yeah, he's great. Great score. And I think the tense scenes, the action scenes are really made better by the way he uses music in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What did you think of the IMAX experience, Thomas?
I guess I've only seen Oppenheimer and this in IMAX, both times with you, Ryan. Well, you saw half of Oppenheimer, right?
3/4.
3/4, yeah. Okay.
I left during the final act.
And so the immersiveness of the sound didn't feel, I guess I didn't notice until I walked out of the theater. I was like, oh, fuck, it's still daylight. I hate that feeling. And also, it's really quiet. It might just be because it's a post-apocalyptic world there in Vancouver, Washington. But I was like, man, I didn't realize how loud my world was for the last 3 hours.
Yeah.
But the only time I was wondering, because I didn't feel like somehow Oppenheimer, it did feel like they were definitely using more of the frame. In this movie, I didn't feel like, aside from a few scenes where people were, maybe Troy, as I'm thinking about it from what Ken just said, but mainly it was like whenever they're fleeing the islands, whenever they're running away from the Cyclops, when they're running away from the giant metal men, that
so
I felt like
half the movie.
It really felt like there was more going on visually, that I was like, wow, like this is a full scope of field. Like I'm seeing more than I could normally see. And this feels big. Like this feels IMAX big. The only time the sound really felt assaultive And it was pretty interesting, and we haven't fully talked about it or at least to the degree that I feel I feel comfortable talking about, is the performance by Bill. Man, why am I blanking on his name?
Irwin.
Bill Irwin, one of my favorite people to see on screen. A little bit less like he's got some work done, I guess, recently. But the Cyclops, when the Cyclops gets his eye cauterized, his scream, his yelling is so loud in that cave that I felt like, oh, that might feel different in a different theater.
Yeah. That was they had a puppet in that cave for them to react to. And then Bill Irwin was on set making the noises and speaking as the Cyclops. So typical Nolan, he couldn't just do it all CGI. He had to build a giant puppet so big that they had to build it inside the cave. They couldn't build it outside and bring it in.
And he's the robot in Interstellar.
Yeah.
I like him from the Legion television series and Popeye, even though I don't like the movie Popeye. And he has a dance performance in My Blue Heaven, if I remember right. He's amazing. He's a clown. Like that's where he gets his physicality from. But I think, unfortunately or fortunately, his Cyclops is grotesque in a way that I found refreshing. At first, I felt was an abomination. I guess he's supposed to be, but like it was terrible. And then I warmed up to it very quickly as, it's like a half of a person in a way.
Yeah.
And it seems like a birth defect.
It does feel uncanny. Like, especially when watching the Armand Asante one, where it's just like, they screen it and it's obviously a little guy, a normal actor. And then it's like the Ray Harryhausen stuff with an actor with a very bad, even worse than Kroll makeup effects. But Nolan's version, it feels uncanny, like it's supposed to, because it's supposed to be like there shouldn't be someone this big. Yeah, it's a remarkable bit of filmmaking, physical filmmaking. You could feel like it was probably a puppet at some level, I thought it was just Irwin moving in a way that he would feel like a large thing would move. But there's like an unwieldiness to it, right? Yeah.
And then it's unsettling because it's pretty grotesque from the nose up, but the rest of it is Irwin's face. They grafted onto it. I'm like, yeah. You're a beautiful man, Bill Irwin. Don't do that to yourself.
So we talked about our reactions to seeing it in IMAX, but Thomas, what did you actually think of the movie?
I think we could it might come out a little bit more if we were ranking it.
Okay.
Given our other films that we've seen. But I feel like the movie is maybe half, like 25% too long.
Okay.
And I don't think that extra bit was needed narratively, but it is trying to keep in keeping with the source material of the Odyssey. But I feel like it suffers for some of the same stuff as like The Dark Knight Returns and Interstellar. Two of my least favorite of his films.
Interstellar is the best movie. And I would say recency bias really fucking sucks. So don't quote me on this. But my reaction to this was stronger on first viewing than the first viewing of Interstellar, which took years to appreciate. It might be the dadness of it. Like I said earlier, this will probably enter the dad movie pantheon. Because I think Matt Damon is just like everybody's dad now, right?
He is the dad.
Yeah. And that's it's hard to disassociate me being a dad the same age as Matt Damon. Not nearly as ripped, unfortunately, but give me $12 million and a personal trainer and nutritionist for 12 months. And I could get there. Yeah. I don't know if I can rank it a day after seeing it, but it's one of his best. It reminded me a lot of when we watched Dunkirk for the podcast. And I think I hadn't seen it since it opened when we watched it for that. And the expectations that I had before seeing Dunkirk the first time. And then years later, watching it for the podcast, I realized how great Dunkirk is as a movie, both structurally. I think it's I still think it's one of his most amazing bits of time compression and elasticity between parallel plot lines. And I think it's really informative. That movie is probably the most informative to both Oppenheimer and especially the Odyssey.
Yeah.
I think he just sees things structurally in a way that this far into his filmography really feels distinct. And like I said earlier, almost comforting, because when you're getting bits in the first 20 minutes of the movie that are intercut and you might not know where they are on the timeline, there's a confidence that he knows, and eventually you're going to get to the meat of the story and how it all fits together. It's amazing and really singular, I think.
Yeah. So starting with Tenet, he started working with a new editor. And while he's always done this cross-cutting stuff, his work with Jennifer Lame is when he starts to really take that up a notch. And that's when you start seeing little pieces of images throughout the story that slowly get returned to over and over until they become more of a full scene. And you start to understand the gravity of what you've been looking at for 2 or 3 hours and maybe haven't fully come to realize its significance.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely true.
Well,
Ken.
I think I mentioned this during the original Nolan series that we did, but Stanley Kubrick famously said that film is its own distinct art form is in editing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all the literary, theatrical antecedents to the storytelling, it's all kind of taken from that. And the worst thing about movies these days is it still is. But Nolan really seems to understand and getting more intuitive. Maybe it's his new editor of using the editing portion of it to give a really singular cinematic experience. There's no stuff like, I was thinking of the star introductions where like someone's running with a dog and then someone says, Odysseus, and then Matt Damon stops and turns around with a smile. That kind of hack introductory stuff of characters, especially in a movie like this with so many stars, there's none of that.
Yeah.
He sees it through his own, I think he's at the point where he sees it through his own storytelling lens, and all of it feels distinct from how we've been taught to see movies through mainstream movies the last quarter century.
Those are the confluence of two things you just said is something I wanted to talk about, and we'll put a pin in how this could have been so much worse. But Kubrick and the Nolan style, as I was watching this, it's like, holy fuck, I'm glad that he, being Nolan, is able to do a sword and sandals movie. Like he is, to me, Kubrick has set the template. I mean, and I don't know if anyone can get as good as him, but set the template of, I'm going to be a director of multiple genres.
Right.
And make them in a phenomenal way. And so as I was watching this, it's like, fuck, this is, I'd rather watch this than Spartacus probably, though I do like Spartacus. But then I was asking myself, because I was thinking about, okay, what's the next movie that he does? And I was like, it'd be great if he did a comedy. I'd love to see what his comedy is. But then I was like, well, shit, did he just get the notes wrong? And he's like, oh no, I don't need to do a comedy because I've done my nuclear war movie. And I was like, no, you fucked it up. Oppenheimer has a bomb in it, and so does Dr. Strangelove. But that's not the assignment. The assignment's to do a comedy or to do a romance. Or to do like an adult relationship movie like Eyes Wide Shut or whatever Lolita was, right?
Ryan, I know you have issue with Nolan and his female characters. I think this is probably the movie, the reason I liked it so much on first viewing, where they're all, I mean, especially Anne Hathaway's Penelope, amazing. The changes he distinctly made from the source material, also amazing, and really took the strength of Spider-Man and put it in her. And made Spider-Man the like, hey guys, I want to be king. I can't be king because I haven't proven myself.
Right.
I do really like Tom Holland, by the way. He has an open, likable quality about him that the camera really loves.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good. And, I think you hit on something here, Ken, where his part is not the most admirable or interesting part, and Holland's performance matches that energy. So it can seem a little dicey, but his character is a little dicey.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it works in that way. I think this is
his natural likability makes it when he's like with the Punisher. I was kind of worried about him. I was like, don't trust this guy. It's the fucking Punisher, dude. And I think that is what carries those scenes, that he really seems like someone who's trying. You're kind of worried that he's not good enough because his mom tells him he's not. And but Anne Hathaway might be her best performance. The IMAX cameras really capture a level of grain in people's faces that I don't think I've seen in like a mainstream blockbuster forever. Like, I didn't know Robert Pattinson's skin was kind of bad.
Yeah.
But Hathaway, my God, she looks great.
Yeah.
She looks amazing. She looks both her age and even as beautiful as she's ever been. And tough as nails. Badass.
Yeah. And so I do think that most of his movies lack a female character, or this is probably this is definitely the strongest, estranged wife of his females. The one thing I did, things could have been much worse. I did really like that at the end. I was really afraid that Spider-Man was going to fall through that hole with a bunch of weapons and go back to back with his dad.
Same.
to fight the suitors. You felt that? You were really?
I was like, don't jump down that hole.
Or
that
Penelope and Hathaway was going to kick through the door and help help out her husband kill a bunch of the suitors. Which could both of those, and we'll get there eventually. We'll have a remake season. Could be like a retelling of this movie, right? And it doesn't, and it's important that it doesn't because of the source material and the movie itself. Because the whole reason that Holland can't do that, his character can't do that throughout the movie, is that it would break the rules of hospitality.
Right.
He would have to go into exile. And so it has to be Odysseus who does that. It has to be Matt Damon. And it keeps true to that. It does that. He gives him a battle to fight up top, but that's against a servant. That's not against a suitor. And so that's okay to kill one of your slaves. in the order of the society at the time.
Yeah. I don't know how this movie would rank for me, but I think it's sort of the perfect Nolan movie. I don't know if it's his best or my favorite, but there are themes and images and ideas and characters in the Odyssey drawn from all of his other films, or at least mirroring things that happen in his other films.
Yeah.
And it's really it ties all of his ideas together in such a neat package. Hating Oppenheimer as I do, I thought that the transformation, the moral evolution of Odysseus was much cleaner in this than it was in Oppenheimer. And I think he really distills that theme much, much more clearly here. And it's just a really, really impressive work,
I think
I don't know what he'll do. I don't know what he can do after this, but this feels like a summary of everything he's been trying to say up to this point.
Yeah, I think Samantha Morton as Cersei really hammers home early in the story, or middle of the story. She's kind of like the main impetus for seeing the other side of what Odysseus's life has been as a soldier.
Right.
And she's talking about what they actually do to these places that they go to. And it's a amazing performance. It's short, but man, Oscar season, it got to be a shoo-in, right? Her scene is so amazing when she's there talking to Odysseus when he's got like his hand on her sister, the crow.
I don't know how I try and keep out of the politics and the mechanics of the Academy Awards, but it does seem like Best Supporting actor and actress should just be the cast from this movie. Like, just
Right.
Ensemble award.
To your point, Ken, it's not just Penelope who's well written. No matter how short, even Helen of Troy, who has like 3 or 4 scenes.
Oh, and her sister,
yeah.
Ellen
Yeah.
of Troy. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
fucking, of course, that's a play. That they saw Sinners, and they're like, okay, we'll have twins.
Well, I thought that was so clever because it automatically undermines the whole reason for the war, right? Because if Agamemnon's wife literally looks exactly the same as Helen,
Yeah.
then they're not fighting for the greatest beauty in the world. They're fighting for some other reason.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, there's
All
that.
of the women are so well written, no matter how short their screen time is, they get a fully developed. Every woman in this movie is fully fleshed out, is more than just a one-note character. And for someone who's has only written 1 or 2, fully realized women before, I'm really impressed with how far he's come in such a short time.
And it's part of the constraints of the time as well. Like, they had to be powerful in a way that isn't like, it's not like them saying this anachronism of like the end of the age of bronze. It's like, you wouldn't call yourselves that.
Right.
You wouldn't see your technology be like,
Oh,
you know what? There's different ages of metals.
That was his JFK line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I've come to terms with the fact that Christopher Nolan is not Stanley Kubrick. He is like Stanley Kubrick for 14-year-olds. And I think that's great. He is so distinct. And I think his greatness is the wideness of his appeal, even as narrow as some of his obsessions and storytelling quirks are, that the way he envisions his films as being so big and so really inviting, I think, to viewers around the world is one of a kind, and something Spielberg never had, because Spielberg wasn't and isn't a writer.
Yeah. Oh, just before I forget to talk about themes a little bit, and I'm on record. I haven't changed of not liking Dunkirk or think it's one of his least films, but I do think that it unlocked the structure, like
Right.
Ken has been saying, to be able to tell some amazing stories that otherwise wouldn't be cinema, like wouldn't be all that interesting. Might be a movie, but like more of a television movie, even just by the subject matter.
Yeah.
And so those themes are like, one is memory, right? Like, he has a theme of how things are remembered and what can be remembered and the accuracy of memory, and the influence of when you tell something in a story for how it affects memory. It's part of the magic trick of things, of the Prestige. It's like just how you order what you're saying, but also how the characters are remembering things and how we see them remembering things is a large part of like one of his themes. Also, the idea of necessary or unnecessary, like un/necessary sins, which I think is an interesting thing with this in Oppenheimer. There's a little bit of it in the Batman trilogy, but this idea of, am I doing what needs to be done, or is this something else? And having a protagonist that doesn't actually know.
Yeah.
It's not like a flaw. It's not like they're so up their own ass they can't see, but really just don't know, which leads into the idea of like a leader and their team, the hoi polloi's decisions. Like, Batman can't control the people of the city that he wants to save. They're going to make their own decisions, but he's trying to influence it at some level. And that like really hits here. As far as he can't control his crew, he can't control his army. He has to listen to his army at some level because they outnumber him. But it's not just that regret. He understands that he might not be the leader that they need, and his decisions are fucking him up. And they have some good points.
He's like Rick from Walking Dead, man. Every single plan just goes to shit.
And then that's the last bit is, and this kind of touches on Oppenheimer and all. I think a lot of other things that he like investigates, and it's maybe sometimes a person's too clever for their own good.
Yeah, Yeah, I think all of that is certainly there and very pronounced, Thomas. And to your comparison, Ken, to Kubrick and Spielberg, this is the first Nolan movie, and I love, some of his previous movies are some of my very favorites. So it's not like I'm saying he wasn't good until now, but this is the first movie that I think I approach like I would a Kubrick or a 70s Coppola or Spielberg at his best, where it's a wholly formed artistic statement, and he's not hiding behind anything when getting to the emotions and the themes he's trying to capture. There are things about the movie that I think you can critique, but those aren't weak pieces. That's just how Nolan tells a story, if that makes sense. Like, Kubrick is really cold. Some people will critique his movies and say, like, oh, I can't get into it, it's really cold. But nobody talks about Kubrick's coldness as an unintentional error. It's just his approach. And everything that Nolan does in this movie, and for me, it flew by both times. I mean, that's part of why I was able to go see it a second time, is I did not... Normally, I check my clock once or twice during a movie, and I didn't ever do that in this one. So I just think it's a real strength of vision that is really incredible here.
What kind of clock do you bring into a movie theater, Ryan?
Oh, no, I pull out I keep my phone on dim, and I just look at it outside of my pocket. Yeah.
Okay. Because that'd be really annoying if you had something that ticked loudly.
Yes.
That you had to wind up occasionally.
Yes. Is it Dunkirk that has the ticking? Or is that Oppenheimer? After that, yeah, I just bring a pocket watch in to mimic the ticking time clock feel.
I don't think we want to spend another hour talking about this film, but it would be interesting to compare it to Memento, because we're talking about like how much he's developed and changed over the years. And I think that the big difference between this and that is that this has the Oppenheimer storytelling, which grew out of the Dunkirk storytelling.
Right.
But at some level, like, all those themes are there, and the innovative storytelling, and all of it's there from Memento. And if I remembered the following better, I might even say from then.
Yeah, that's like, I think you can literally look at any movie in his career and find direct parallels to things that happen in the Odyssey. To your point about Memento, I mean, one of Odysseus's crimes and what he spent all of his time on the island with Calypso doing is he would rather forget or alter his memory of painful things that have happened than to take ownership over how he played into his own pain and suffering. In Memento, Guy Pearce's character at the end kills someone that he thinks is the murderer of his wife, and then gets a tattoo to erase that memory that he has found his victim, so he can go and kill again.
Whoa.
And that's just like Odysseus on the island with Calypso, eating the lotus flower and wondering, like, oh, what terrible fate has befallen me? Where are my crew? What's going on in my life that I'm so fucked up? And because he can't cope with the fact that he is the architect of his own demise or ruin, I guess.
So here's the thing that I think is introduced with Interstellar moving forward, and maybe it's there earlier, because we can also look at like the Prestige for that kind of entrapment in an idea, or hoisted by your own petard at some level. But the idea of him having to be on that raft, which is interesting because he goes on the raft, it looks like there's low camera angles in the water where you can see him kind of like almost drowning. And I don't think it's really a Jacob's ladder, but they do impressively, like, okay, cool. It's the gods, it's a miracle, it's whatever you want to call it, the love dimension, and boom, he's on it back home now. I think that, and I don't know if it's for the audience, I don't know if it's part of his understanding of the universe and his spirituality, but that idea of giving up, letting the universe take you where you need to be taken, like this sense of egolessness, is something that is, I think, newer in the Nolan storytelling. I don't really see traces of that so much in the past.
I think that's true. 100%. And even I heard another critic point out that Inception opens with his hero washed up on the beach of some unknown place, not remembering what happened, but just wanting to get back to his family. Like, all of this stuff is just running throughout his whole filmography, and it all is queued back up here and told in such an amazing and emotionally rich fashion. He always seemed very emotionally simplistic to me before this movie, and this movie is so nuanced and has so many deeper ideas to explore, and the characters are so rich that it's really surprising to find out that he has all this in him.
Guys, so somebody's Athena's here shaking her head. Can't believe that we haven't mentioned her. Giving me a really disgusted look.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Zendaya. Right, like so much. And I'll probably go watch the new Spider-Man movie just to see her again.
Creeper.
Well, I mean, I'm crushing hard, but there's a moment that actually Andy and I laughed at in this film. For me, it wasn't the continuous awesomeness of what you had, Ryan. I did get a little bit bored or restless. I did pull out my timepiece and look at it. No, I didn't actually do that. But I think the problem for me was like, fuck, this is 3 hours long. I knew that going in. I knew I had to get right out of the theater and get on the road to be able to make reservations. And so I was like, I was feeling that 3 hours, and I was feeling it like maybe an hour in, and then about halfway in, an hour and 30 minutes. And then about 2 hours, I was feeling it. Like and I was very glad that this movie has a great ending, and that it's not abrupt, but it's quick. Like, you have the things are resolved. We can go in exile. We're in exile, and it gives you enough moment that you feel fulfilled. But there's a moment, whatever. It's sometime like maybe after the Metal Men, and they're on the boat, and there's like a montage that happens of Odysseus looking somewhere, and Zendaya like shaking her head or giving him a look. Like disapproving, like Athena over and over again being disapproving.
Dude, what the hell, man? Right?
And she does it so well, and she also does it great whenever she's like happy for him. But she does it so well that it's like, it's like I was like, oh man, I need to have that GIF. And then I'm like, oh wait, and then it is again, and there it is again. I'll use any of these 3 or 4 immediately right after each other's shots of her just like shaking her head.
And what I really like about what he does with Athena here is that one of the complaints about this movie is the absence of actual gods. That Athena is like a figment of his imagination that goes back to the PTSD he has from the assault on Troy. Right? So she only kind of exists in his head. Am I reading that right?
I don't know.
I think it's ambiguous for sure.
I don't think Nolan has it in him to make the Homeric world filled with gods, like a cabinet of gods sitting around trying to figure out what to do with Odysseus. He
definitely is having him to cut to clouds and people sitting around a table, moving, I don't know, clay figurines of humans in a chess game. Like that's. Isn't that in a movie at some point, or a bunch of movies? Like I just felt like that is like an archetypal.
Clash of the Titans is probably the archetypal one. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, your point is well taken, Thomas. Because and to your point, Ken, if we got more of the gods, that would remove the decision making and the culpability from Odysseus to one level or another. And this, it's like he really did it to himself. Mm-hmm. And if Poseidon is pissed off about what happened to Cyclops and is, therefore cursing their boat in a very overt fashion, then you can't get that emotional payoff at the end where Odysseus has to reckon with his role in all of this.
Yeah, you can't have both fate and free will and have it be interesting. I mean, they both can
Correct, yeah.
exist, but you can't have it be interesting. You have to like choose one or the other. And I think a lot of earlier Nolans, the idea of fate is there versus maybe this. But to that point, a little bit finer, I think that it's interesting. Like, I think it's coherent within itself. But Odysseus does seem to not believe in the gods or not put that much stock in it versus his men. And the other part there, and I'll stop. It's weird to me to see the Cyclops, because I think that's the only thing that can't fully be said, like push out and say, okay, there could be metal men, which is just large people in armor. There could be a witch, maybe it's psychedelics or something.
Yeah.
And the poppy, or not poppy, but Lotus could be like a drug, like poppy. Like it could be something that's he's a junkie for a while. Like those other things are close enough, but to have something that large biting heads off of people and that grotesque it seems like there could be actual gods with that and not just a Marco Polo exaggeration of a story.
Right.
I don't think I think there's a distinct absence of them, though. Like narratively, they're not given scenes like they are in the original text.
No, there is a subtle thing where, Athena tells him to listen for the wind in the sky and look at the clouds, and that's how you know that the gods are present.
But that's every fucking day.
Right. And I think that's
you think the gods leave?
I think that backs up Nolan's kind of argument that this is all on Odysseus, because to your point, Ken, this stuff is always with us, and it's how you react to it that determines whether it's good or bad.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to interrupt here for just a second.
Okay.
I try to do outreach to creatives that make these things, and I got a bit of a coup. The original author of the Odyssey. We hooked up on LinkedIn. It's not Homer Simpson, but it is the Homer who wrote the Odyssey. So
what?
He's on the phone right now. Let me answer. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Homer. Mr. Homer? Just Homer? Homie. Okay,
I eat my raisin bran. Gotta keep regular, Tim. Writing epic poems takes stamina.
So there's a new adaptation of one of your seminal works.
What's seminal mean again? I'm joking. All about the seminal.
Well, have you seen Sir Chris's new film based on your poem?
Sure. And why do all the raisins go to the bottom of the bag?
Oh, and did you like the movie? What do you think?
Because they're heavier than the flakes, right?
Homer, if you can...
Homie,
what did you think of the movie?
Not enough boning.
What do you mean?
Cersei, in my book, there she is, saves his men by boning her for a year. And I spent a lot of time figuring out the logistics of such an act, like watering bathroom breaks, moisturizing, carving the odd stone missive or two, sweeping out the garage, but mostly boning for a straight year.
So you do not like the change Nolan made in this sequence?
I just wanted boning. When I write an epic poem, I put those scenes on the same place each time. For fans of that kind of stuff to flip to in the stone tablet store.
Boning.
Yeah. And also scenes of pillaging and raping and looting. Those are the rewards to an author. Wading through all that boring shit like rowing, palace intrigue, finding yet another way to describe spooky fog, and running off a beach.
Anything else?
Do you have a location for the Kellogg guy to send an emissary? Makes the raisin bran?
No.
What good are you?
Nope, he hung up.
Wow.
Well, we got Homer on the show, guys.
It's like they take the 2 scoops and they just put it at the bottom of the bag. I'm with them. That dude's wise.
Yeah, maybe that'll be his next epic poem, tracking down Mr. Kellogg. Yeah. That is an interesting change, though, that Homer brings up. The change to Cersei being the really central portion of the movie with Samantha Morton becoming like the inciting element to let Odysseus know that, hey man, what you're doing is not heroic. It's actually kind of fucked up. And in the original, he's like, "Hey, you turned all my men into animals. I'll take you to bed if you turn them back," which is fucking gross. and then he's there for a year. Nolan's change to this feels central to maybe his entire envisioning and reshaping of this into the Nolan verse.
The Nolan void.
The Nolan void. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how we can top that get you just had. That was a big get.
Yeah. Incredible get.
Yeah.
Well, Nolan wanted to be on it, but our ongoing lawsuit about temporal pincer movement, his lawyers told him no. I mean, he's basically on every single talk show now and podcast except for ours.
I mean, dude, you're doing it to yourself, Sir Nolan. This is a bet of your own making. You can resolve this quickly, and come on the pod, and we'll, all parties would be happier. You just need to get your lawyers out of this.
Right. We're pleading with you. I'm running out of money from our Patreon to pay our lawyers. Anyway, great movie. I think it having a huge cultural moment. I think when Oppenheimer came out and similarly everybody went to see it, I had hope that maybe things were kind of maybe moving in a better direction. I don't have that hope this time because he's, like I said, he seems so singular now. Like even with Coogler going to him and deciding to use the IMAX for Sinners, which was a great movie that came out last year that was an original. And more filmmakers are using the format. But I think as a storyteller, there's something really special about him, the way he envisions the movies, both on paper and in his head on screen, chopping them all up.
Chopping it up. Yeah.
And like you said, Ryan, this really seems like is so many reminders of some of his earlier films. And this kind of like feels like a payoff. Like if you jumble them all up together and watch all 12 movies, various chapters at a time, it would all kind of culminate here.
Yeah, I think that's true, and it'll be interesting to see what he does next. If he's gotten some of this stuff out of his system, or if he's going to just keep on betting on his preoccupations.
Well, he has said he is taking a break because it was a very physically exhausting shoot. And that he's going to take a couple years off. I mean, I don't really believe him. In a couple months, a bug will get up his butt. And it really sounds like in interviews that his tank is just empty right now.
It'll be interesting because he normally releases a movie pretty much like clockwork once every 3 years. So if he truly does take a longer break, that will be the first time that he's had more than 3 years between projects.
Yeah. And good for him.
I think you can credit his commitment to original storytelling mixed with this franchise stuff to like Villeneuve and
that's true.
Krieger and Peele. Jordan Peele's never really had to do IP.
It sounds like Ryan Coogler though, and Nolan.
Yeah,
are buds.
I think he's really, and we'll see what happens, but I think the Odyssey is going to be his biggest movie. So I think that could really be a signifier that things are changing back towards more original and interesting forms of storytelling.
Well, what will happen is Hollywood will, again, try to reverse engineer it and try to make something like this and have like a producer, screenwriter, and director and do the stuff I was talking about where it's like it starts out with running in the grass with a dog and then Penelope says, Odysseus! And then the camera pulls up on him as he stops and turns around with a smile. That's what Hollywood will do with this kind of story, and they'll get the wrong lesson.
That is certainly very possible, but we've never had... I'm trying to think back to... In the 90s, we had all these emerging auteurs, but they were all committed to this kind of indie styling, and they never really went total Hollywood doing the superhero movies and the franchises and the bigger IP. But now we have Peele and Greta Gerwig and Kreger and all of these guys below Nolan who've came up after him, who are such great artists that, like, if the worst thing that happens is Ryan Coogler gets to do a sword and sandal style epic set in Africa, that would be amazing.
That's a good point.
The people who would be picking up the pieces here are a tremendously talented set of original filmmakers.
Okay, you're a little bit optimistic, and I do agree with you that if Nolan is like a son of Michael Mann, son of Stanley Kubrick, style director, then you're right. This entire generation is directly inspired by Nolan's work now.
Yeah.
Given his old age of 55.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What a sorry old man that guy
People
is.
live long now, don't they?
I was thinking about it, and I think actually the best comparison for Nolan is Jim Cameron, because these original stories on these gigantic palettes that are meant for the dumbest person and the smartest person in the audience to enjoy equally.
I would say that's 100% true, but these Avatar movies have just kind of feel like they've sidelined him for so long. And the first two Avatar movies are amazing, and the third one is entertaining, but it's like, are you seriously not going to wrap this up? This is like 9 hours of this shit, buddy.
As much as I love Avatar 2, I agree.
Avatar 2 is amazing.
If Nolan was on this podcast, I would say, please keep using John Leguizamo as your Michael Caine. Bring back Himesh Patel. Like, he was in Tenet. He was in this.
He's amazing.
He's fucking amazing in this. Like, keep that guy going. And Pearl, Mia Goth. Bringing her back.
Yeah.
And Robert Pattinson, man. Put that guy in anything, really. The trailer for Dune, when he shows up with his Mia Goth look. Robert Pattinson is an absolute global treasure, man. I hope he's never canceled.
Yeah. No,
every time he shows up, he's just, he's both an amazing amazing actor. He's great looking, and he's fucking weird as hell.
Yes.
Amazing.
The only thing good about The Lost City of Z, probably.
Oh.
And on that note, stick around to next week when we return to our regularly scheduled season 17.
One by ones. Freebie and the Bean.
Woo.
I don't know why I'm snapping my fingers.
Japan 4.
Followed by Freddy Got Fingered. Followed by Steel Magnolias and a ladies only episode.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ken, for editing.
It's gonna be a lot of quick turnaround here. Thomas, thank you for writing the show notes before we saw the movie, which is a very Nolan-esque thing to do.
I not to pull the curtain back too much, but I do that every episode. I just manipulate the conversation so you all talk about what I want you to talk about.
Whoa.
Okay. Well, listener, beware of semen.
Well, we're all going to go to the CrossFit gym later because we're going to make our own version of the Odyssey in 6 months, but we're going to have to beef up for it.
Well, I'm going to have to lose a little bit.
Yeah. My wife, she mentioned Matt Damon's being shredded and ripped more than once after the movie. I'm sitting right here. I'm crying. Thanks, Matt Damon. Makes us all look like shit. Sorry, kid. Matt Damon.
Whoa, the dude from Team America?
Matt Damon.
It only took us 2 hours to get to that joke. Well done.
Bye.
Running a temporal piston. Messing up. Yeah, piston. In space. Running a temporal piston. Messing up. Yeah, piston. In space. Running a temporal piston. Messing up. Yeah, piston. In space. Running a temporal piston. Messing up. Yeah, piston. In space. Sniff all messing up. Yeah, sniff.
But we'll keep it in.
Maybe. But right up there in the sun.
Which, it's kind of hard to blame her. That dude's a snack.
I almost died doing the linear synopsis.
Finding yet another way to describe spooky fog. Matt Damon.
So what you do is you buy Frosted Flakes and you just put your own raisins in.